welcome to another episode of Asexualized, my asexual life. This is the place to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual, and I share my own asexual life journey in order to help you in yours. If you haven't already subscribed, please hit the great big subscribe button down below. Please hit that bell icon so you get notified of every time I go live like now or post a new video. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up as we go along if you're enjoying the content. If you don't know who I am Sandra Bellamy, author of this wonderful book, Asexual Perspectives, Love, Life and Sex, a celebration of asexual diversity. It's got 47 real life asexual stories in, including my own personal story, and it also explains a lot about love, life and sex in relation to asexuals and how we feel about living in this highly sexualized world. If you also didn't know, I'm the founder of asexualise.com and the founder of Asexualise Academy. Well, in tonight's episode, I'll be answering a viewer's question. And it's one that I think some people will love to know the answer to. I think some people will get confused about asexuality and they don't understand necessarily that it is a sexual orientation. Hi, Andy. Lovely to see you. Thanks for tuning in. So this was a question I had. This person is a long-standing viewer. She's also an online friend I've had for a number of years. And thanks for the thumbs up as well. Appreciate that. And I consider her a really, really lovely online friend. And I did say I'd be posting the answer in a video, and I've told her my answer as well. I'm not going to reveal who it is because I think it's only fair unless a person wants someone to, me to say what their name is, that I don't reveal this. But this question is really, really good. It's one that most people might think, oh, I can't really ask that, but it's really important to make it clear. So they said, hi, Sandra, I have a question for you. If being asexual is a sexual orientation, does that mean I am not heterosexual? Like if someone has been single for years, that's not really straight, is it? Now, this is a question in two parts, and I'm going to answer it in two parts as well. So the first one is if being asexual is a sexual orientation, does that mean I am not heterosexual? No, you're not heterosexual. If you are asexual, you are absent of sexual attraction. So asexuality is a sexual orientation that is the lack of sexual attraction. If you think of the A standing for absence of sexual attraction, then you can't go far wrong. So someone who's heterosexual is someone who's attracted sexually to the opposite sex or gender. So if I was heterosexual, which I thought I was for years, because I mistook my high levels of arousal for sexual attraction, I didn't realise it was different at that time, but I never actually had the need, urge or want for partners' sexual intercourse, then, if I was heterosexual, I'd be sexually attracted to guys. I get the need, urge or want for sex with them, but I don't get that. I am, however, a heteromantic asexual person. So what the hell does that mean, right? Hetero means I'm still attracted to the opposite gender or sex. So in my case, as I'm female, a woman, girl, I'm attracted to guys only. And so that's a hetero part. And then romantic means I'm romantically attracted to them. So I'm not sexually attracted to them. I don't look at them and think, God, I want to have sex with you now. I look at them and think, oh, I feel really romantically attracted towards you. Not every guy, obviously. I'm not attracted romantically to every single guy I meet. I'm a hyper romantic, but that doesn't mean to say I'm attracted to every single person I meet romantically. There's certain guys that I look at just wouldn't, because usually if I'm not aesthetically attracted to a guy in a way, most of the time they're not romantically attracted to them either. But it can vary slightly occasionally on the odd occasion. But yeah, as a general rule, so most of the, there's a lot of British guys, for example, that I don't have any romantic feelings for, because I don't think about them being aesthetically attractive. There's loads of older guys as well that I wouldn't consider being aesthetically attractive, because I'm into younger guys, do you know what I mean? But a hyper-romantic means I can get attracted, have multiple attractions for different guys. So that's kind of a bit weird sometimes. I can separate all the different types of attractions, like the aesthetic, the romantic, the intelligence attraction, the clothes attraction. I have quite a lot of attractions, just not sexual and not platonic. And not platonic is really weird because most asexuals experience platonic attraction. I don't. I jump from just meeting a person usually to fancying them in some way, being romantically or aesthetically attracted to them in some way. It doesn't really have a middle ground like most people do. Sometimes I can feel less hyper romantic. It takes about 8 months to do that. So say that I've got a person who comes in and they're not really attracted to me, but I really like them or something, then, occasionally that's happened with Indian guys, for example, abroad. And, it takes me about 8 months to like de-romance from them, if you know what I mean. It doesn't always work either. Sometimes I just romantically attracted to the same guy, whatever. but sometimes if it's gonna happen, I can just not feel anything at all. It usually takes at least 8 months. I work backwards. But yeah, so being heteromantic, another word for that you could use is asexual. So sometimes when I'm explaining to sexuals who don't understand what asexuality is, I say to someone, I'm asexual, not heterosexual. In other words, I'm romantic, I said in my case, I'm a romantic asexual, meaning I'm romantically attracted to guys only, but in an asexual way. So absence of sexual attraction. So that's a different way of describing heteromantic. Obviously, you might not be a heteromantic if you're watching this. You might be another type of asexual. You could be a panromantic or a biromantic or a homoromantic. Or you might not be romantic at all. You might be a aromantic or aromantic, as I like to call it, asexual. Doesn't experience any romantic attraction or sexual attraction, to anyone. But you're not heterosexual because you're not sexually attracted to the opposite gender. Asexuals are not sexually attracted to anyone usually. But however, asexuality is a spectrum. So there are people who are on the more grey end of the asexual spectrum, which is going more towards the sexual spectrum, and people who are grey asexuals. The textbook definition of a grey asexual is someone who experiences someone who experiences sexual attraction under limited, rare, or specific circumstances, or who experiences it but not enough to want to act on it. And some people who are known as demisexuals come under the grey asexual umbrella, and demisexuals can only experience sexual attraction when a deep emotional connection has been formed. This is not to be confused with a demi-romantic. A demi-romantic can only experience romantic attraction when a deep emotional bond has been formed and comes under the grey aromantic spectrum. So there's quite a lot. I mean, if you've never got my Asexuality Basics for Beginners course yet, which is free, go and do that, because you will get to understand the asexual spectrum and the aromantic spectrum within the asexual spectrum. So all these terms are described in that free course for you. It's like a 9-part video training series. It's got about 14 videos, and it's absolutely free on asexualizeacademy.com. So please do go and watch that, watch all the videos. If you haven't already, it will explain a lot to you, a lot more. And I try to put it in like a fun, contextual way so you can really grasp this is the asexual spectrum. This is the aromantic spectrum within the asexual spectrum. Obviously, you can get aromantic sexuals as well. Aromantic sexuals are ones that lack romantic attraction, that lack sexual attraction. Aromantic sexuals can sometimes come across as a very cold to do with relationships, because they don't experience any romantic attraction, only sexual aromantics. So they want sex, but they don't need the kissing, they don't need the cuddling, they don't need the holding hands, they just need the sex. And so they can come across as cold. They're well known for being, it's not necessarily fair to them, because it doesn't mean to say they are all cold, but they have sometimes got a stereotype where they can come across as cold. And some of them are genuinely like that. They genuinely just want the sex and there's not much else. I mean, I saw sexual aromantic commenting on a video once, and literally they just pretty much, that's all they wanted. They just want the sex. They're like, I'm not interested in a relationship. I don't want to hold hands. I don't want to kiss. I don't want to cuddle. And that came across as obviously like really whoa, But with aromantic asexuals, they are different, because although aromantic asexuals don't experience romantic attraction, aromantic asexuals really need a lot of friendship and that deep bonding, and they're more caring because they need the friendship component, because they do have this platonic need going on, where they need this deep friendship. And obviously some aromantic asexuals, they do want a platonic relationship, or queer platonic relationship, which should just be a bit more deeper than a friendship. Sometimes they may want to share a bed, but in general they're not very romantic, like not the big romantic gestures and stuff like that. Although some aromantics I think can be romantic, they just don't realize it. They're not actively thinking about it, but some of them wouldn't want much touching, others might want a hug, so or a cuddle. So it's a bit different, but I think aromantic asexuals are much, they're much more warmer in general than sexual aromantics, because sexual aromantics, they just literally need the sex and want the sex. They're not really bothered about all this romance stuff. It's like, why do I need that? Whereas aromantic asexuals, they need all the friendship component, the emotional connection, the deep friendship bonds. So it's a lot warmer, a lot nicer. They're not cold, they're very caring, warm people still in that way. Do you see what I mean? So it's really important, and I need to answer the second part of this person's question, which I've just lost them now. So where am I? Yeah, let me go to, so I feel a lot of straight. Oh, right, hang on a minute, this is really interesting. Now I'll go back. Okay, so actually this person said, I feel a lot of straight people can't even define what heterosexual is. They can't give me a proper definition of it, which is hilarious. And that, thank you for answering her questions. So she's saying, I know what heterosexual is better than this. But yeah, just to give and the second part of her question, or when she said, if being asexual is a sexual orientation, does that mean I'm not heterosexual? No, you're not. But like, if someone has been single for years, that's not really straight, is it? This is actually incorrect, right? Just because someone has been single for years, even if I haven't had sex for years, doesn't make them asexual. They are, if they're still attracted to the opposite gender or sex sexually, they are still heterosexual. So I put straight people, if you mean heterosexuals, can be single for years without sex. It's not about the length of time you've been single or gone without sex. It's about sexual attraction and who you are sexually attracted to. So for asexuals, it's no one. Obviously, asexuality is a spectrum, and so you have the grey asexuals and the demisexuals that have exceptions to this rule. I hope this will help you. So you know what I mean. So being asexual is not like someone who's like, oh, I've been single for years and I haven't had sex. There's a number of reasons why people who are heterosexual, for example, don't have sex for years, because they are single. They can't get someone. Maybe they're not maybe they've put all their energies and efforts into their career, and they've been so career focused, they haven't really been relationship focused. Maybe they've got a disability and they can't actually have sex, which can happen. Maybe they're impotent and they can't have sex. Maybe they've got I think I've already said a disability. I know a guy who is heterosexual, who's a blogger. And as far as I knew, I used to be friends with him for quite a long time. We never really speak now, but he was heterosexual because he was interested in me at one point. And as far as I know, he didn't have sex because he had a disability. I'm sure he could have had sex if he wanted to, but he hadn't been in a relationship for years because he did have a disability. He walked with a stick, and it was very difficult for him to get a woman for a relationship with his physical condition. I think obviously if a woman had been in a relationship with him, maybe he could have worked something out with them sexually. But, for someone like him, who was a certain, like he was, I think when I first met him, he was 46 at the time. So he's probably in his early 50s, probably by now. And he had a disability, he walked with a stick and had other issues. I think some mental health, like depression problems and stuff like that. So for him, it's very difficult to get a woman and to have someone to have sex with. But if he had the opportunity to, then I'm sure he would. So, if someone's straight, as in heterosexual, and they just haven't had sex for years, it doesn't matter. That doesn't make them asexual. They're still straight. They're still, attracted to the opposite sexual gender. It's just that something's happened in their life that means they can't do that, or they've chosen not to do that for a while, or just their circumstances haven't presented that opportunity to them. So you've got to understand that just because someone hasn't had sex for 6 months, a year, 2 years, or whatever, doesn't mean to say they're not heterosexual. if they are sexually attracted to people, they get the knee-jerk want for partner sexual intercourse. They would have it if they could do in some way. Then they are not asexual. They are heterosexual still. Some, I have to let you know as well, some heteromantics like myself call ourselves straight asexuals. This can get very confusing, which is why I stopped using the term straight asexual a lot when I talk about to people in profiles. Because if someone comes along and goes, oh, I'm straight asexual, you can kind of think, well, do they mean asexual or do they mean they're a heterosexual? But some people who are heteromantics, attracted to the opposite gender or sex romantically, you know, they can class themselves as straight asexuals because they're only attracted to the opposite sex or gender. And that's what they mean by straight, but asexually, not sexually. They're not sexually attracted. So if you ever hear the term, oh, I'm a straight asexual, that's what it means. It means they're a heteromantic. Obviously, as a female, I'm attracted to guys only romantically. If I was a guy and I was a heteromantic, I'd be attracted to females romantically only. Do you see what I mean? So I just want to clarify this because there still seems to be some confusion. And a heterosexual is literally a person who's attracted sexually to the opposite gender or sex. And what is sexual attraction? Sexual attraction is an energy, I will tell you that. And it's also the need, urge, and want for partner sexual intercourse. So if a heterosexual is attracted to me, which happens quite a lot of the time, they really they give, a lot of them give off this sexual energy. I think when I, you know, like I think with the guys I am like, you know, some of the foreign guys, they hold back a lot of stigma. Hi Heather, nice to see you. Lovely to see you. Thanks for tuning in. I always like to see you here. Thanks for your support as usual. Yeah, there's a lot of stereotypes. There's a lot of misconceptions, you know, about, you know, people don't really understand the whole sexuality thing. For me, it's just comes naturally to understand with stuff. I think it's because I've been in heterosexual relationships for like half of my life. So I understand heterosexuals very well from that point of view. You know, I've had sex which was bad. I've had sex which was good sex. You know, the guy was good at that. I've had, you know, I've been in different types of situations, so I get it, you know. But heterosexuals, particularly ones that need a lot of sex, you know, they give off this sexual energy. I can feel sexual attraction from them, even though I'm not sexually attracted to them. They give off this sexual energy, you know, and you know, a sexual person is sexually attracted. They feel this, oh, I really want sex with this person. Like if I was kissing a heterosexual, they'd be thinking about sex on their brain usually. You know, like they'd be thinking, I want sex with this person. I'd love to have sex with the person. I'm not thinking that, but they would be. And so, you know, it's sort of a like, you know, like when you see a kid and they're like rocking back and they're like, oh, either I want to go to the toilet or I'm really excited about something and I want to go on a day trip. Like this. This is kind of like what sexual attraction's like for guys with me, like high sexual attraction. It's like, I want to have sex now. Do you know what I mean? Because their bits are like going wild. But instead of like with asexual, some of asexuals can have arousal, high levels of arousal, like me. So, for example, if my bits are creating a fuss down there and making their own noise or whatever they're doing, like making them not really noise out loud, but if my privates are deciding to be aroused, it goes and disperses into the atmosphere and comes out as kissing, strong kissing need, and need for like, you know, like kissing and, you know, being physically close to someone, with really close with clothes on. But if it was a sexual person, it would come across as needing to stick in. If you know what I mean, it's a very, very sort of blunt way of putting it. But they would have the urge to stick it in, not really considering, you know, like the person's body would be a vessel for release. Whereas if I get aroused, I don't experience sexual attraction. There's no need for me to release and have someone inside to release stuff and all that gross stuff that I don't personally like. You know, it's just like an arousal feeling in my body. Sometimes it really hurts, and other times it's just arousal. So, you know, it's really weird to. But I think it's really important I do explain the difference between arousal and sexual attraction, because there might be some asexuals that watch this channel and they might think, oh my God, you know, I can't they might not understand themselves. They might feel aroused and they think, oh God, I'm not I'm not a normal asexual, but I'm not a sexual person. I don't understand myself. What's going on? Why am I feeling aroused when I'm meant to be asexual? It's not the fact you're not asexual. It's the fact that, your body can still do things that it's kind of designed to do. It's like physical, mechanical stuff. So, like, I had to make it clear that, sexual attraction is when you actually physically want the intercourse. Do you know what I mean? You need that release inside of each other. I don't like even talking about this, really. It's a bit gross for me, but that's what it's like. But with arousal, it's like, if I'm kissing a guy, my body can get aroused, but I don't want to have sex. I don't link that to sex at all. I just link to it. It's a feeling in my own body that sometimes feels nice and other times it's a bit overwhelming for me, if I'm honest. And it makes your bits tingle, and it's kind of like, sometimes it hurts a little bit if it's too much, but other times it's just fine and enjoyable, and other times it's like, oh, I really want to kiss or release a bit. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's really important to understand this. And sexual desire can be a desire for the sex itself. This is where it gets really controversial and tricky with asexuals and asexuality, because technically speaking, someone could experience sexual desire with no sexual attraction. So someone could want the sex itself, but still not want it with anyone because they don't experience sexual attraction towards anyone. And that's where it gets really, really tricky. That's where the question mark is, are you asexual if you experience no sexual attraction, but you experience sexual desire? Well, it's a chemical release. Arousal's a chemical release. Sexual desire is to do with chemicals as well. Everything's to do with chemicals. Even love is. Like, my science teacher at school, right? Mrs. Blair was her name. It's really funny. She goes, oh, when someone falls in love, that's a chemical reaction. When someone falls out of love and stops loving the person, that's also a chemical reaction. Love is a chemical reaction, in other words. It's like, thanks. Try telling that to my hyper romanticism. I don't think it's just a chemical reaction with me. I think it's inbred into me to see everything as romance. When I was with my one of my best friends, Andy, who's watching this show at the moment, lots of love to my best friend Andy. I was going around with him the Devon County show, and I kept picking out stuff that was really romantic. Like, oh, that's a nice romantic soap. I think there was a soap, it had a heart in it or something, smelled really nice. And like near it was a set of knives, and I wasn't interested in knives, obviously. I was just interested in the romantic soap. Do you know what I mean? And I kept picking out things that were quite romantic because I'm a hyper romantic. It's kind of been bred into me. So I guess I must have tons of romantic chemicals in my body. And I must have arousal chemicals and romantic chemicals and passion chemicals, but I've got no sex chemicals. Do you know what I mean? I think that's a really interesting point. Love is science, laugh out loud. Yeah, love is science. Love is chemical reactions, and I think it is sad if you've ever been with someone and they fall out of love with you, especially, I mean, my science teacher did explain it's your chemicals change. Is it, that's what happens when people fall out of love. And it was nice to hear that, in a way, that explanation, because it was like, well, okay, at least there's a reason for it, people falling out of love. But it's horrible if you're in the middle of a relationship with someone, all of a sudden they say, I don't love you anymore. It's like, oh. Do you know what I mean? It's like, what do you do then? You're like, you can't be with them, and you might have been thinking, but I thought we were getting on so well, I really loved you. Do you know what I mean? So that's kind of hard, I think. But then there's no point you being together with someone who doesn't love you anymore. What's the point? And I have to stress this as well. Like, do not be with someone who's not right for you, because if you are, then with someone who's not right for you, then the right person won't come along. Yeah, don't waste your time with people who are not really right for you, or don't really want to be with you, or like you for who you are, or value you, or care about you. It's no point. It's just like, like, there's thousands of years, like, there's thousands of people out there, and you've got years ahead of your life. So don't just choose anyone. Choose a good person for you, someone who will adore you. It's really important you do that. Yeah. So anyway, I hope you've understood the point of this video, because I thought it was just like, my friend, like I said, messaged me, to ask about if you're asexual, you can't be heterosexual. No, because asexuality is a sexual orientation. I have to say asexuality is not a gender either. So one of my friends started saying, oh, their gender's asexuality. And I'm like, asexuality is not a gender. Asexuality is it's a sexual orientation. Your gender is whether you're male, female, agender, transgender, gender fluid. And I'm sure there's some other genders out there. Do you see what I mean? Gender is to do with the sex you are. Asexuality is a sexual orientation that any gender can be asexual. Do you know what I mean? So a transgender can be asexual. You know, like a guy can be asexual, a girl can be asexual, an agender can be asexual, a gender fluid person can be asexual, a non-binary person can be asexual. You know, like your gender and your sexuality are two different things. Do you see what I mean? So any gender can be any sexuality. Any gender can be sexual. Any gender can be asexual. Do you see what I mean? Asexuality is not a gender. It's a sexual orientation. And you know, this friend said, "Oh, my gender's asexual," and I'm like, "Well, it's not." But I mean, obviously, it's up to people what they call themselves. But you know, I just want to make sure that people are not confused about that either, because I actually went to a business meeting once and I was talking about asexuality, like I do give my business cards out. Oh, I educate people about asexuality, like you do when people are talking about website designs and eBay businesses. And you know, and then someone started talking to me about gender, going, "Oh yeah, that means you're a different gender, doesn't it?" And I said, "No, it doesn't. It's got nothing to do with my gender. It's my sexual orientation. It's who I'm sexually attracted to, which is no one, because I lack sexual attraction. I'm absence of sexual attraction, so I'm sexually attracted to no one. But in my case, I'm attracted to guys. Obviously, if I was a heterosexual, I would be attracted to guys because I am heteromantic. I'm only attracted to guys. But I'm not heterosexual. But I did think I was heterosexual for years. I didn't even know I was. I never heard about asexuality. I didn't know about it, and I thought I was a heterosexual who didn't really like sex, wasn't really into it. And I just thought, you know, I preferred kissing. I always preferred kissing, always. Do you know what I mean? But I had no idea. I just thought I was heterosexual. I didn't know there was any difference till 2014. Never. I'm like, I just heterosexual doesn't really like sex, not really into it. It's not really my thing, you know. I could be doing better things with my time, you know. I've always had a problem with nudity as well, even though I have been naked in my past relationships. I've always not liked nudity. I can't stand it in films or anywhere. Oh, it's gross to me. It's totally unnecessary. I just don't watch it. I don't watch films with it in. Don't watch TV with it in. Don't watch anything with it in if I can help it. I don't need that rubbish in my life. So I think the body looks far more gorgeous clothed. I have clothes attraction. So yeah, if a guy wears certain clothes, my God, I want to snog him so badly. Only if I'm aesthetically or romantically attracted to him, of course. I can't just do that with anyone. So yeah. And so I have like strong kissing. I get a need to kiss, but I can't just kiss anyone. So I do say I'm a kissing addict, but actually that's not totally true, because if I was addicted to kissing, I'd be going around kissing everyone and not care. You know, like someone who experiences sexual desire, for example, it desires the sex itself, no matter who the person is. So someone who's a heterosexual, for example, someone who's sexually attracted to the opposite gender or sex, some heterosexuals can have sexual desire without the sexual attraction necessarily being there, because they can just desire the sex. So you know, when guys go, they're out at nightclubs, they're on the pool, and they go, "Oh, I just want to pull a bird tonight." I hate this type of language. You know, I just want to basically have sex with a woman, and you know, and they basically stick it in culture. You know, I hate that culture. And you know, they just strongly desire the sex itself. And some people can be sex addicts, and they literally need the sex like all day, like several times a day. Like, it's hard if you're ever going to be in a relationship with that type of person. Pretty much impossible, you know. Not for an asexual person anyway. But you know, it's like they need the sex constantly. They're sex addicts. Hello and good night from Germany. Sorry, I have to leave. It's late. Continue being yourself. You seem nice. Oh, thank you, Anna. You're so sweet. Lovely to see you. I think that's the first time you said hi on this channel. Yeah, continue being yourself. Oh, thank you. That's lovely. A very positive message. Hi to you in Germany. It's like 25 minutes past midnight in the UK, but I'm usually a night owl, so I'm up half the night anyway. I live in the night. Yeah, but it's really nice. Thank you for saying I seem nice. Bless you. And I love your smiley face as well. Bless you. Thank you so much. Thanks for showing up here. I hope you're subscribed to my community. Would love to hear from you more. So I just get back to talking about, with a heterosexual, with the sexual desire, it's really important. So a heterosexual can sexually have sexual desire without the sexual attraction. They just need the sex from anyone and everyone, basically, obviously of the gender they're attracted to. I mean, I have known that some guys who are not gay, sometimes they participate in sexual acts with other guys, even though they're not gay. Personally, I don't understand that personally. I don't get it. Professionally, when I'm talking about it, it's because, from what I understand, it's because they like to masturbate each other to guys, even though they're not gay. I don't, like, personally, I don't get that. Professionally, that's what the circumstances are. This is what happens between some guys. They get together because they want to do that, because they're so needing to release. I'm saying this because this is what I know goes on, even though my personal opinion is quite different about it. But I'm like, oh my god. Okay, I mean, personally, I could never touch a woman. I'm not attracted to women at all. I couldn't be doing anything with a woman personally, because it's just not my thing. If I wanted to relieve my own arousal, I'd do it myself and do a blooming good job of it. I'll tell you, I wouldn't need another person involved in it. Do you know what I mean? Especially not of the same gender. If I had a boyfriend, I don't mind him doing that for me if I've been with him a long time. He doesn't mind doing that, likes doing that, and I've been with him for a really long time and trust him like that. But yeah, gross, man. Yeah, I mean, I have to obviously present the information. Personally, I find how can you do that with a guy that you're not attracted to whatsoever? I find it very hard to believe. That's my personal opinion. Professionally, I'm telling you, this is what happens, and I've been told. The heterosexual guy I dated in 2017 for 2 months told me about that, and I'm thinking, why are you one of those type of guys? He was addicted to masturbation. He used to go home and have a vibrator that he told me strapped on every night. So some people have really bad addictions. Some people have porn addictions. Obviously, if you're asexual, you wouldn't necessarily have any of the addictions. But I'm not saying it can't happen, where someone who's asexual could get a masturbation addiction, for example. It doesn't stop them being asexual. If they just want to touch themselves all the time, they could get into that type of frame of mind. So, with me, with kissing, I say I'm a kissing addict, but if I was a true kissing addict, I'd need to go around kissing anyone and everyone. And I can't do that. I just can't do it. I can only kiss certain guys in certain circumstances. Do you know what I mean? Who I'm attracted to. I can't just kiss anyone. That would be gross to me. I wouldn't want to kiss everyone. It'd be just like, oh. So I do get the need urge I want for kissing a lot. It really drives me nuts sometimes, but I can't just kiss anyone. So I think a true a true sex addict is someone who needs to have sex at all costs. And someone who's an addict of anything, I think, needs to have that thing at all costs. Like, if they're a porn addict, they need to have porn all the time. Do you know what I mean? However they can get it. When I say I'm a kissing addict, it's because, especially if I was in a relationship, I just want to kiss them all the time. But I'm kind of like a affection addict as well, in the sense that I don't even like the word addict, but I like to be affectionate. I'm literally want to cuddle, kiss, and hold the person's hand nearly 24/7 when I'm with them. It's just the way I am. I'm but I'm hyper romantic. So when you're a hyper romantic, your romance is 10 times higher than an average person's would be, for example, especially mine. It's excessively romantic. I can see pretty much most things are romantic. You might have noticed I got a picture in the background. I don't know if you can see that, but that has 2 little sheep together. That's romantic. I have some other pictures by this guy. He's a local artist, but I don't know if you've ever noticed any, but I got some others, and usually always the little animals have got 2. They're in a couple, which is so cute, so that's really, really romantic. Do you know what I mean? I mean, obviously I've got my Disney. That to me is hugely romantic. My Disney throne, because obviously I think Disneyland Paris is magical, and I think it's super romantic environment to be in. So with the castle and the stars, that to me is so romantic. Cuddly toys are romantic. I've got a heart pillow, right? That's romantic. And I've got, obviously the Mickey Mouse is cute and romantic. So, I'm excessively romantic. So yeah, I just affection 24/7, 365 days a year, really. It feels so good. But yeah, I hope you found this video useful, helpful, insightful. I hope you understand now that asexuality is a sexual orientation that's a lack of sexual attraction. It's got nothing to do with how long someone's gone without sex for. You know, you might find though that some people who haven't had sex for years do happen to be asexual, because obviously if you don't know a person, and you might pick up on the signs that, oh, they've not had sex for a long time, they've not been in a relationship, they're not really interested about relationships. But be very careful you don't jump to that conclusion that they're definitely asexual, because I've known people who I thought because they hadn't had sex for a long time they might be asexual, and they turn out not. It's just they haven't been able to get a girlfriend or whatever. Do you know what I mean? They haven't been able to find someone, or they've had a disability that's prevented them, or they've been like doing their career, you know. And obviously it's horrifying if you decide, oh, I really want to be in a relationship with that person because I think they're asexual. Then you get into a relationship and you find out they're not. And you know, you never asked in the first place. You just assumed. You should never assume someone's asexual. You know, you can think it. You know, there's certain signs that you can kind of think maybe that person's asexual or on the asexual spectrum. But there was a guy in my old job, and I always had an inkling that he was asexual, a young guy. But he said to me he's not. He actually turned around and said, I'm not asexual, you know, but he's very picky about what girls he's with. He's one of these guys that is different. He's not after all the women. He used to go on sexual dating sites just to find a good girl for him, and he couldn't. And he came off them. He said they're too sexual, Sandra, just going on about sex all the time. But I mean, I always thought he might be on the asexual spectrum, you know? I always thought he might be. But he told me he's not asexual, so I have to accept that about him. And you know, but he's not, you know, he's not the type of guy that can just jump into a relationship with someone. I really respect that, you know. I mean, one of my friends said to me, he goes, oh, because you're extrovert, you'd probably like an extrovert to be in a relationship with. But that's not necessarily true, because a lot of extrovert guys that are asexual, they're on the more sexual end of the spectrum, and some of them are really flirtatious with a ton of women. Why would on earth would I want to be with an extrovert asexual guy if he's going to go around doing that? Do you know what I mean? So just because I'm an extrovert asexual doesn't mean to say I need to be with an extrovert asexual person. It depends on if the introvert or ambivert person, even if they would go out with me to different places, you know, depends on how they're how introvert they were, and how it affected them, and how what it meant in their life and the relationship towards me. Do you know what I mean? Because obviously if there's an introvert who doesn't ever want to go out, that's no good for me, because I need to go out. But if there's an introvert that will go to some places with me, just they need some time by themselves as well, because I don't need to live with the person. Do you know what I mean? Then they get their time by themselves anyway. So it really depends. You know, there's obviously ambiverts. If you don't know what an ambivert is, it means they're a cross between an extrovert and introvert. They're not totally extrovert, they're not totally introvert, they're somewhere in between. So in certain situations they might want to go out and spend some time socializing, and then like the other time they might decide, I really want to spend time on my own, I need a bit of alone time. So they might be like somewhere in the middle. Hello, greetings from Hamburg, Germany. Oh, I've got another German person. Hello, Coral. You're the second German person tonight. Lots of love to you. Thank you for joining me. Wow, Germany, 2 people tonight. Had Anna earlier. This is lovely. Thank you. So yeah, I think it's really important that, you know, like when you are lovely to see you. Really, really important when you are choosing a partner as well, that you do, you know, think about where you want to be with an extrovert, an introvert, or an ambivert. But just because you're one type of person doesn't mean to say you're not attracted to other. If you've got things in common and you can still get along and have the type of relationship you want, you know, it's really important. Because like, I mean, you might have noticed in relationships, I don't know if you've never noticed in heterosexual relationships, you can have a gorgeous, well, I'm not attracted to women, right? But some women obviously are very, very look good, don't they? Every guy would like fancy them, really. And sometimes you see this amazing like female who's obviously very attractive to a lot of guys, and then she's got a guy who doesn't look that attractive with her. And you might think, well, why on earth is she with him? She could get any guy she wanted because she's stunningly beautiful. But the reason she would be with a guy who's maybe less attractive to the general population is because she knows the guys that are super attractive are the players. There's the ones a lot of the time they'll want to be chatting up loads of women. They'll go to nightclubs to chat up loads of women. They'll want loads of women to touch them and be with them. You know, I'm not interested in that type of guy, you know? So you got to be very careful. Like, just because I'm an extrovert asexual, you know, some extrovert asexual guys wouldn't be suitable for me because they'd be too they'd be too much more towards the sexual end of the spectrum, and they'd be too much flirting with loads of women, because just because someone's asexual doesn't mean to say they don't flirt. I know I've met a few asexual guys, and they're hugely flirty, and they're hugely after a lot of different women. They just go on all the asexual dating sites, chatting up loads of women. There was one guy who is an Indian guy, and he was interested in me and two other women at the same time. We all found out about it. Me and two other Indian women who I'm friends with. He was chatting up all of us at the same time. And it was horrible, but we found that out, and it was like, oh, this guy's interested in me. And he was like, oh, actually, I've got this guy talking to me. I'm like, who's the guy? And you find out that, well, because I had an impression that he wasn't interested, became less interested in me, even though he said he was, because he was seeing someone else. And then I found out it was one of my friends, on my online friends. So I think you've got to, not assume anything with asexuals, but you've got to understand that asexuality is the lack of sexual attraction, and it's a sexual orientation. It's not a gender, and it's not about whether you haven't been, where you've abstained from sex for a little bit of time or for a humongous amount of time. It's not about whether you're celibate. It's not about that you just haven't done it because of a disability. Asexuality is a lack of sexual attraction. So for me, I never look at a guy and think I want sex with him. I don't. My brain doesn't think like that. Do you know what I'm saying? It doesn't. If my body makes any arousal thing, it's never aimed at anyone. It's never aimed towards a guy. I mean, obviously, if I'm kissing a guy, then the arousal will be because I'm kissing that specific person. But I could get aroused just by thinking about kissing on my own. It's not attached to anyone indefinitely or needs anyone else to be involved with it. And that's the difference with asexuals. We don't need anyone else to be involved in any sexual stuff with us or romantic stuff with us. Well, obviously, if you're romantic, you need you look for someone with romantic attraction as well. Also, but you don't need, like, with heterosexuals, they need like the sex, if they're romantic and everything mixed in together, and they experience sexual attraction towards a person. Usually they experience romantic attraction as well as sexual attraction, unless they're aromantic asexual, unless they're aromantic sexual rather than aromantic asexual. If they're heterosexual, general, they'll experience asexual attraction, romantically attraction, and they'll experience like a romantic attraction, romantic, aesthetic, sexual, all at the same time towards a person. Do you know what I mean? It'll all be clumped together. Whereas asexuals are different. We don't need a person involved to be sexually, like, we don't need to have. I'm trying to say that we don't experience sexual attraction. So if we do any sexual stuff, we don't need a person to be involved in that. If like, for example, some asexuals masturbate, they don't need someone else to fulfill any down below urge or anything. Do you know what I mean? Because it's not, they're not getting the need or urge to have sex with anyone. That's what I'm trying to say. Obviously, if you're a romantic asexual, you would have the need, urge, or want to be romantic with someone. But if you're aromantic asexual, you wouldn't. So, like aromantic asexuals or aromantic asexuals, they don't have an innate need for any romance with anyone. They don't have that need at all. Do you see what I mean? Unless they're a grey romantic, which is when they need it, when they do feel some romantic attraction under limited, rare, or specific circumstances, not enough to want to act on it. So there are always kind of grey areas wherever you go. But I hope this has cleared it up for you. Like, asexuality is not celibacy. It's not when you're disabled and you can't have sex. It's not impotency. It's not, it's not abstaining from marriage. It's not doing sex for a while or a long time. It's literally, you don't feel the need, urge, or want for partner sexual intercourse with anyone. You just don't feel it. So that's the difference. And I think it's so important. I actually found a guy on meetup.com that's in an asexual group, and he's like, oh yeah, sometimes I feel asexual. I haven't had sex for 3 months or 6 months. I'm like, that's not asexuality. Just because you don't feel like it or the circumstances haven't presented themselves to have sex in 3 months doesn't mean to say you're asexual. You can't be asexual temporarily. And that's why I need to get this across. The one thing that I do worry about is when someone says, oh yeah, sexuality is a fluid, so if asexuality fits you, wear it, wear the hat. And that's very good in terms of making people feel better about themselves. But it's not good in terms of if someone's reading that who isn't asexual and just thinks, oh, well, I haven't had sex for 6 months. I think I'll wear this hat for a bit. Do you know what I mean? It's like if the wrong person sees that, if a heterosexual sees that and reads it the wrong way, they could think, well, okay, I haven't had sex for 6 months. I'll say I'm asexual for 6 months when you're not, you know? And that's the only thing that I think should be clearer, you know, like if you feel you're asexual, if you feel you're sort on the asexual spectrum, then, you know, you can say you're asexual because you believe that at the time. But don't just try it on like a glove for like the sake of it, you know, like people don't go around going, you know, like people don't go around saying, oh, I'm just trying to be gay, do they? They're either gay or they're not gay. Do you see what I mean? It's like, you know, some people don't know, they do get confused, but they might think they're gay in that point in time. They might genuinely think it, so they might say they're gay. But what I don't like or want or think is good for any person to come across, say, oh, if asexuality fits you, you know, you can just wear it for now. If it's a heterosexual that comes across that doesn't understand what it means, they might just think, oh, right, well, I'm having sex for 6 months. I'll just say I'm asexual. Well, they're not, and that's very damaging when they then come on the asexual dating sites, when they come on ASAP, when they then come on, you know, like after asexuals, when really they're not asexual, they're just abstaining. And, you know, an asexual person could get really hurt by that. You know, if an asexual person doesn't realize that person is not asexual and that person is just like, well, I'm asexual, I feel like I'm asexual at the moment, you know, it's like, well, what the heck's the moment? You know, it's not about feeling it in the moment, it's about being it, living it. You are it. Do you see what I'm saying? So you just have to err a side of caution. I mean, if anyone says I feel like I'm asexual, just be very, very careful of that word. It's not about feeling you're asexual, it's about being asexual. Do you know what I mean? So anyway, I hope this video has been useful, helpful, insightful in some ways. If it has, please give this video a thumbs up. I know it's had a lot of components to it tonight, but I hope it explains more about asexuality and different components, like such as sexual attraction, sexual desire. You know, I was trying to say that it's quite controversial because there's something where some people could say some asexuals might experience sexual desire but no sexual attraction. So some asexuals could, technically speaking, still desire the sex itself without being sexually attracted to anyone. But that's a hugely controversial topic because lots of people believe if you're not sexually attracted to someone, you can't have the sexual desire. And, you know, how can an asexual be sexually have sexual desire but no sexual attraction, because surely they're not asexual then. So there's a huge controversial topic separating sexual desire and sexual attraction within the asexual community. It's a very big controversial topic. I don't cover it very much on my channel in terms of like it's very like it's a mind-blowing concept, you know, like how can you experience sexual desire wanting the sex itself but experience no sexual attraction? I mean, sexuals can do that, but how can asexuals do that? It's kind of a bit of a weird concept. So, you know, I'm going to leave it there and just park it in your mindset. You know, that is technically possible. But, you know, you've got to be very careful because there are a lot of people out there that claiming to be asexual when they're not, as well as a lot of asexuals that genuinely are asexual, you know. So you've got to err on the side of caution, talk to the person more, ask them questions where you can find out if they're really asexual or not, you know. You know, if they go around saying, oh, I please my woman in bed, or I please my... I had that the other day. This guy goes, oh, yeah, I pleased my woman in bed, the last woman I was with. I said, well, you're not really asexual then, are you? You know, oh, you know, I was always pleasing my ex in bed. I'm like, you're not really asexual then, are you? So I'm looking for an asexual person in the UK. Thanks very much. Do you know what I mean? And so I'm not saying that an asexual could never please someone sexually in bed if they can perform, but it's the way he came across as though he really, you know, loved doing that, did it all the time, and, you know, she was loved it, you know. Clearly he wasn't asexual, he did just tell. So I told him, and he didn't correct me. So anyway, I'm gonna leave you for now. Please give this video a thumbs up if you like it. Please subscribe if you haven't already. If you've just joined me on this video and you're not sure what I'm talking about, please watch it from the beginning. This is a live stream, and it's always recorded live, so you can see it afterwards. Don't forget, if you haven't already subscribed, like I said, please subscribe and please hit the great big bell button. Thank you, so get notified every time I go live, like now, post a video. Thank you. This was a very helpful discussion. Thank you, Andy. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Heather. Thank you, Coral. And thanks, Anna, earlier. Big kisses to all of you. Lots of love. And yeah, thanks for the thumbs up. And take care. Night Coral, Night Heather, Night Andy, thanks for the thumbs up. If I can get any more thumbs up before you go, that'd be awesome, because thumbs up means these videos go higher in the search engine rankings and more people can see these videos and we can get asexuality recognised even more. Oh, I got 4 thumbs up now. I'm very happy about that. Thank you so much. Anyway, I will see you soon. Take care. Lots of love to all of you. Thanks for tuning in. If you've got any more questions in the meantime, pop them in the comments below. They might help someone else out and I can do more videos. If you've got any videos that you want me to cover, any topics to do with asexuality, just plonk them down and I'll do them for you. Lots of love. Take care. Bye.